How often would you say you see a BMW Z3 M out and about on the roads these days? Probably not all that often, or even in the same place, that is. Well, believe it or not, we now actually have two here, and that is all thanks to you guys watching these videos, because the owner of this has been following the blue Z3M, watching all the videos on this one, and has decided they'd reach out and want some work done on his one. But can you guess what for? How about now? You've probably guessed it by now, we're going to be doing a full brake caliper refurbishment on this, with replacing the pads and the discs as well, pulling the calipers completely apart, putting a whole new piston and seal kit in these, and with painting them red. And already looking at these, it looks like they've got the yellow EBC pads in here and the EBC drilled and grooved discs, with which we're going to be putting back on it. And at least these ones aren't C's, which is going to make my life a lot easier. And with getting these calipers off the car, which isn't always straightforward, I started out by greasing all the fixings up that I need to undo. Then loosened off all the bolts, the bleed nipple, and the brake unions. Oh, come on. Oh, yes. Then released the pressure from the brake system after wedging the brake pedal to the floor. And then once everything was undone, I could finally remove the calipers. These are definitely going off to the blasters. They are absolutely caked in brake dust. I mean, it is just literally flaking off. It's so thick in it. So these have definitely got to a point in their life where they need doing, and this refurbishment is going to do these the world of good. So I'm going to get these pulled apart now. We can get them over to the blasters to get them back so we can finally get them painted. Now, when it comes to pulling calipers apart, there's a few tricks that I found along the way that can help you out, and some I recommend and, well, some I don't. By removing the sliding pins first, it allows you to basically pull the caliper apart without struggling to remove the pads or the spring that holds everything under tension, because the caliper basically falls apart and all the other bits follow. And then there's removing the piston out of the caliper by using an airline. Yes, it's idiotic, and no, I do not recommend you guys doing this. But once the piston was out of the way, I could then pull the dust cover out, and then finally remove the piston seal by using a pick. And with the caliper now apart, these bits ready for the blasters, I've just got the other three to get done. And whilst I'm waiting on getting the calipers back from the blasters, I've got another little job to sort out on the front of this, and that is to change out these Angel Eye headlights for the originals. And I've got the original headlights, but getting these back in probably isn't going to be all that straightforward, because all the wiring has been cut and modified, and to what extent I'm not sure. And I've got to say that removing the bumpers off of these older BMWs just seems to be really straightforward. All that holds them on is two big bolts that you get to from the underside of the bumper, and then you're just left with the little fixings holding the plastic wheel arch liners to the bumper. And once you get them undone, you can literally just pull the bumper away from the car. I then undone the four smaller screws holding the headlight in, and undone all the plugs. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. The plugs, which I was hoping weren't going to be cut off, aren't, and that's these here, and we've got the main big plug here. So this is like a 3-pin plug, and I was just hoping and praying that all these weren't cut off or missing, because that would have been a nightmare. Luckily they're not. So the only thing I've got to sort out is changing over the bulb holder for the indicator. The only problem being is that whoever's cut these off have cut them quite short, but there should still be enough there to play with, so that'll be alright. And I just need to sort out the, I believe it's a daytime running light. Yeah, I don't know, what have they done here? Oh, this was, okay, yeah, so this was wired into the actual light, so they're just picking up a power feed off of this, I presume. So yeah, I'm going to cut what they've put in off, and I will just be left with the original wiring like so. So yeah, that's not that bad. It's just going to be sat here playing around with some wiring for a little while and just getting this sorted out. Now before we get these headlights back in, we're going to give these a little restoration because while they're out, I mean, it only makes sense. I mean, look how milky they're going. As for the ones in the blue Z3 M, which we've recently done, these are just looking a lot more crisper. So at least when we get these back in, it's going to look a lot nicer. And you know what? I think I'm actually really digging these headlight eyebrows. And with getting these headlights looking good once again, I started out by removing all of the glue off of the headlight lenses from them eyebrows, sanded the headlights down, going through all the grades of paper, ready to get them masked out to get them in the spray booth for some lacquer. And then we got the calipers back from the blasters, which had been epoxy primed, rubbed down, and then painted in this Sunfast red. And now these have been sat overnight to cure off, the paint's hard enough and I can start this caliper rebuild. And I've got a big red caliper rebuild kit to go in these, which is everything from your slider pin rubbers to the seals to the pistons. So everything in there I need to get these rebuilt. And I've got some EBC pads to go in these as well and some new discs to go on the car. Now I have got the headlights in as well. They're looking absolutely awesome, but I'm not going to show you them just yet until we've got these calipers rebuilt and we've got them back on the car. The one thing that is going to help you out most with rebuilding calipers is grease, and that is lots of it. The piston seals went in first, and then put the dust covers on the pistons, as getting these in place first make life a lot easier, and to be honest, I can't see any other way of really doing it. The piston then goes in, then the slider pin rubbers, then the slider pins, then the carrier bolts on. And that's just the end caps to the slider pin rubbers I've just lost forever. I copper greased up the bleed nipple and fitted that. Put the pads in place. And then fitted the spring clip. And then finally put the discs on and bolted up the calipers. And would you believe it? A long lost friend showed up to help me bleed up the brakes. Up, down, lovely.
Lift up.
Yeah, how's the pedal feeling?
Still going to the floor, there's a bit more.
Getting there. Right, that's that one done. Right. Let's get this out on a little brake test, shall we? Now there is nothing I would love more right now than to take this BMW Z3 M down the road for a proper little spin, but seeing as it's not mine, it's the customer's, I'm definitely not going to be doing that today. Just solely out to test out these brakes, and yeah, I mean, they feel pretty good to be fair. Nice pedal. The thing is with the EBC discs as well, is because they come painted, it's just wearing that paint off the fascia of the disc. Which obviously to start with, I mean, they still feel pretty good to be fair, but it's just wearing that paint off so you get like your full braking capacity out of your brakes, and they're going to need bedding in a little bit anyway. But, oh, ABS, that does feel pretty good. And I must say, I'm genuinely really digging the red calipers against the Imola red. Wouldn't have been my first choice, but there's no denying how good this now looks. And we've also, having got rid of them god-awful angel lights in this as well, this just looks so much more better for the factory headlights. Now, it hasn't actually been all that simple as a job, because when the customer was on the way over to us with this, believe it or not, he actually lost the clutch. The car then got recovered to a company called JD Automotive in Lowestoft, and they end up replacing the dual mass flywheel on this, the clutch, had a slave cylinder in it as well. And yeah, so it's ended up being quite a big job, and it's undergone quite a bit since being with us. But we've got it there now, and it's looking absolutely stunning. It's amazing actually at how much difference it makes to the car with just having the calipers done red. It just looks so much better. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. If you have, remember to keep hitting that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bugger. Oh, down, yeah, up, down.
You got 2 words to say.
Up, down.